Welcome to For Formula One's Sake, the fastest episode of the season.
Bye.
That wouldn't be fastest, would it? That would be shortest.
That'd be shortest. All right, maybe we'll...
Welcome to For Formula One's Sake, the F1 podcast that won't ask how you are.
Nah, just walk off.
Fuck you.
Welcome to For Formula One's Sake. Unlike Dutch F1 podcasts, we like the halo.
Fucking hell, Chica, that's a bit harsh. Jesus. Wow. You think that Dutch F1 fans want Lewis Hamilton dead? Is that what you're saying, Chica? Wow. You're saying that the Netherlands would like a guy dead, Chica?
The whole nation, Chica.
Maybe proofread the stuff you're saying next time before you start.
Welcome to For Formula One's Sake, the only F1 podcast that is as good at pretending to be as happy as Lando Norris.
Did it, guys. We did it.
So great. So great. Second place. It's the first of the losers.
I'm G. Grez, and I'm still married, so don't even ask. Today from the webs, we'll be talking about the Italian Grand Prix and the other race at the same track the day before that wasn't a Grand Prix, so let's be honest, it was barely a race at all. McLaren scored a 1-2, and it was bloody Ricciardo that won it, but everyone was talking about the hot Red Bull on Mercedes action that ratcheted up the championship tension even further. We'll talk about that, whether sprint races are any good now, and whether we'd been wrong about Danny Rick all along. That is all to come. Joining me is a motoring journalist who went on holiday. It is Phil Tromans.
I went on holiday with my child, and it's the first time that we've done that since she arrived 19 months ago.
Yeah.
So can I just check before we go on now, obviously, so far this year, I've been the only one on this podcast to take a holiday, and I got dumped. So can I just check?
Yeah.
Has your child disowned you?
Yes, she's on the loose somewhere in Gloucestershire now. So if anyone finds her, carry on.
And alongside him is a man who has a new flatmate. It is Terry Saunders.
So I live in a one-bedroom flat on my own. Don't feel for me. I'm fine. And the other day I got in and I looked around the room and I was like, I forgot I had a Christmas tree. And then I realised it wasn't a dead Christmas tree in my room. It was the biggest moth I have ever seen in my entire fucking life. The size of a Christmas tree, mate, honestly.
What kind of Christmas tree? Like sort of, London gift from Norway, or like the tiny little thing
don't
you
be
put
stupid, Phil.
Thing on
The kind of Christmas tree you'd fit in a sitting room. Fucking hell.
That could be any
Jesus,
size.
Phil,
that could be those little plastic shit ones, or it could be a proper fur one.
5
5 foot?
5
no,
foot.
I'm not having that.
It was a 5 foot moth.
5 foot moth. I'm Googling that. That's not real.
Yeah.
5 foot. Oh, I haven't got any numbers.
So what you're saying is you sort of had Mothra in your room.
You haven't got numbers on your keyboard. Just search a giant moth. Big moth. Maybe not 5 foot. Like maybe
5 inches. Even 5 inches is.
I don't know. It's
not. Yeah, I can see they're big. They are big, but they don't look like Christmas trees.
It's like a big brown triangle on my window.
Good. Chica, have you got anything dead in your room, or have you tried something that you previously liked and don't like anymore?
How is the marriage going?
So here comes Listener's Corner, where there's plenty of room for two, so try and leave space, yeah? Let's start with the winners of the race, which was McLaren. Daniel Ricciardo led home Lando Norris, giving the Woking team their first win since 2012 and their first 1-2 since 2010. Podium by Barcelona seems rather unambitious now, doesn't it? Nick Pepple says McLaren's 7-year dominance period starts next year. You heard it here first. And Ray Glennon says, I found it charming that Daniel thanked his local fans in Italian. I think he said something like, in celebration of our common heritage, I would now be drinking out of an article of clothing shaped like your lovely country. Mark Smith says, Aussie, 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 oi, 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 the honey badger never left. Ooh, Mark.
Good.
But he did stand aside. Is that what he said? I stood aside for a bit. I went backwards. I was facing the wrong way and I forgot how to drive a car. But turns out
I never
left.
I was just at the back being terrible.
Yeah. I never left. I just couldn't find the door. But I was trying to leave and I nearly fell out of a window. But accidentally, somehow, I've ended up on the top step of the podium and I was actually looking for the door.
Yeah. I was stuck in a cupboard and I've broken all your stuff. I'm really sorry. But anyway.
Who saw this coming? I didn't see this coming.
I wish I'd put a £5 on a McLaren 1-2 and Ricciardo beating Norris. Holy moly. Yeah, I didn't see it coming at all.
Yeah, because even when it happened, it was like, when there was a safety car, it's like, Ferraris are going to swamp them, or this, that, the other. And it's just like, because I think he led every lap, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And what was weird is that the more you think about it, the more you think that even if the big crash that we'll talk about in a minute hadn't happened, you'd still think that probably, based on what we'd seen up until that point, Ricciardo would still probably win it, which was genuinely impressive. The car was good, he was good, and also in their last race a week ago they were nowhere.
I don't understand.
Monza.
Magic
of Monza.
I genuinely don't understand. And a 1-2, it's just like, come on, this is... I mean, this is going to be, this is going to be a great fucking Netflix episode, and it's going to be so good, it'll be unbelievable. They'll have lots of clips of like Senna and Prost, and then they'll have like Hamilton and Button and all this kind of stuff, and then they'll be like, then nothing happened, and then funky close
no,
up.
I think
funky close up. 1-2.
I think Netflix were probably at AlphaTauri this week, and so did absolutely nothing. That's a guess. I have no idea. But pretty pleased for them. Well done. No idea what's going on, because did they even get points last week? I don't think they did. Were they both at the points?
All I could think was, I wonder if Ron Dennis is watching this, and how does he feel?
I don't think he cares.
Do you think Ron Dennis watches the races? I reckon he watches them if he's home, but he'll have any excuse to go out and miss it.
I think he's in stasis.
But I reckon, is he going to be happy that his old team have won, or is it going to be a bit like, it was always it always made him feel better that after he left they were shit.
I have no idea what Ron Dennis is doing now.
He's doing some kind of stuff for the government,
like a spy.
Well, it's something about. Well, last I heard, he was some kind of ambassador for exporting British stuff. So that's going well.
Oh yeah, he was a British ambassador for working for the Department of International Trade, but he's not anymore. He's also a global advisor for Chinese investment group Minsheng Investment. Brackets citation needed.
Oh,
catchy name.
Well, nobody cares about Ron Dennis anymore.
I do. I love Ron Dennis.
Is this McLaren dominance going to continue, like Nick Pepple perhaps facetiously says?
No. Maybe.
Okay.
I mean, the thing is, we don't know. We keep all this talk of Russell going to Mercedes and blah blah blah. This new rules change next year. It might just be that everything's up in the air again. It might be that McLaren are the best team next year. We just don't fucking know.
It does quite often happen, doesn't it? Not always, but quite often.
Quite often, one team will just win. So it might be back to the Ferrari McLaren days. It could be Aston Martin versus AlphaTauri, or Haas versus Williams.
Absolute Haas dominant.
I hope so. I hope it's Haas. I'd like it if Williams were doing better than Mercedes, just to shit on Russell. That would be quite fun.
What if Williams were once again right at the back?
Also funny. Basically, whatever Williams do is funny.
Okay, good.
Right, that's this week's orange nonsense out of the way. Let's get back to the championship and the clash between Hamilton and Verstappen at the first chicane that took both of them out. Whose fault was it? The smart money seems to say it was the pit crews. Rich Tebb says, in the scheme of it, was it Lewis or Verstappen's fault? Was it actually the Red Bull pit crew? They annoyed Verstappen so much with that shit pit stop that he took it out on Hamilton. Daniel Kedney says, in an effort to show his rivalry with Senna in a better light, Alan Prost must have bribed both the Red Bull and Merc mechanics to ensure Max and Lewis steamed into Turn 1 side by side. Keith Russell said, Lewis left the pits, then Max decided to double stack. And James Kerr says, I think Max has been spending too much time with Jerry Horner because he's taking two become one a little literally.
Wow.
Was it Keith Russell that did the good joke the other week that I went a bit crazy about?
Yeah, the Keith Russell Memorial Award, yeah.
Oh God, I've got a terrible memory these days. Anyway, Keith Russell, again, is hitting it out of the park. That is a good joke. Lewis
That's why
then Max decided to double stack. Good joke.
Yeah, the master's back.
I like the I like the
James.
Spice Girls one, to be honest.
I
think it's just a little overworded. I think he could have cut a few words from that. It was a bit... It took a long time to get... I enjoyed the journey, but it took a while. I was tired by the end.
It's good, but he's no Keith Russell. He's a bit of a wannabe.
Oh, boo.
It really wasn't either their fault, was it? They were... Or rather, it was both of their fault. It was just the kind of... They were just... Neither were going to back off. And they just crashed into each other. And I was almost annoyed because I kind of watched it and went, oh, that's got to be Max's fault. And then kind of watched the replays and listened to all the kind of analysis. And I'm just like... Yeah, like I kind of want it to be Max's fault because it would just because it would like even up the kind of the Silverstone thing. It would be kind of better if they kind of had like one big fault crash each at this point of the season. and you kind of watch it, and it's like, yeah, Lewis could have gave space, but I mean, in terms of the best outcome for the championship, I just think Verstappen should have backed off and just got him at the next corner. That's the thing I don't get. Like, if he'd have backed off, I think he'd have probably got him sooner or later. But it is that kind of old-fashioned Verstappen of, I've got to get it now, and he just kind of just wouldn't.
Do you think he'll grow out of that?
Not anymore. No, I thought he was growing out of it at the start of this year, but it looks like when the pressure's on, he's just no.
You see, you could argue the same thing for Hamilton though, because I'm sort of like you. When I saw it happen, or rather, when I saw it a day and a half later, because when you're on holiday with a child, you can't watch Formula One. Don't be silly. When I saw it later and didn't know what happened, I was like, well, that's Verstappen's fault. And then I saw the replays, and I was like, well, actually, he didn't have a lot of room then, and why shouldn't he have gone for it? So again, I'd say it's probably a racing incident. And initially, I was quite happy with the penalty, which we'll talk about later. But I don't know. It's pretty. It takes two to tango. Doesn't it?
Yeah, but I think of the position they're in, Verstappen could have backed out easier. I'm not even sure Lewis could have backed out that easy at that point. But
well, he could have given him a bit more room, because you could argue that because Verstappen had gone in so deep that he'd have completely compromised his exit out of that corner, and then if Hamilton had just let him go and then just cut him behind him, he would have pretty much overtaken him again straight away, and he'd have probably been on the right side, or rather the left side, for the following corner.
I think it's a very fair point. I think, yeah, it's the exact reverse, but the exact same of what I said. Like, if either of them had backed off, they'd have probably still been in the race and won it, or at least come behind Ricciardo.
Silly children. They need their heads banging together.
Exactly.
Or their tyres banging on their heads. But I don't know, I feel like Lewis Hamilton is just more rattled again. Like he made the fuck up on the first lap where he cut the corner. And then whatever you say about whose fault this was, it looked pretty clumsy from Lewis, and it's just like, this isn't the Lewis Hamilton we've been led to believe over the last 10 years. It's just like he seems to be a little clumsy around Max. It's almost like, which could just be that he knows Max is about to fucking ram him, and he's just like going, this is going to hurt. And I don't know, but it never seems that.
Or
kind
he
of
fancies him.
I mean, who could fancy Max Verstappen?
He's got a girlfriend, hasn't he?
Give me one.
Sorry, Lewis.
Wow.
Isn't it Nelson? Is it Nelson Piquet's daughter or something?
Oh, so that family hasn't got a history of being told what to do.
Is it his daughter, or is it Nelson Piquet Jr.'s former? No, it's it's another driver's ex. Is it Kvyat's ex-girlfriend?
No,
no idea.
I'm pretty sure he's going out with Kvyat's ex-girlfriend.
Well, she's
as if
got
Kvyat being
type,
booted out of Red Bull wasn't bad enough. Yes,
which just implies that
Red Bull drivers.
Helmut Marko is just like pimping her out.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know if that's actually true. I can't remember the details.
Even all the Dutch fans that I'm sure aren't listening to this, but I know you love him, but look at his face. Only a mother could love that face.
Young Verstappen has been
Nelson
previously
Piquet.
linked with a host of women. This is according to The Sun.
A host of women?
Including Instagram
Like a
models Joyce Godfriedi and Roos van der Aar.
Terry Saunders.
Dutch hockey player.
And Van der Valk.
Maxine.
There's a joke for people older
Dutch
than
hockey player was reportedly whisked off her feet by her fellow countryman.
Wow, so he's got form then, because that's basically what he did to Hamilton as well. It's Kelly Piquet.
I bet he rammed her from behind on a
Oh, Terry, no.
sorry.
No. Right, moving on.
She used to go out with Kvyat. Brilliant.
Okay, so in other news...
She's got a daughter with Kvyat. Holy shit.
Christ, okay. Wow.
Kvyat's got a kid.
Yeah, with Max Verstappen's girlfriend.
Fucking hell. All right.
I'd pay to watch that Big Brother house.
Okay, so in other news, happening in the merry old time between us recording the last episode and it actually happening, Alex Albon was confirmed to drive alongside Nicholas Latifi next season. Yay?
Yeah, why not?
Sure. Yeah.
I'm happy enough.
It's not the world's best lineup for Williams, though, is it? When you look at what will probably be... have they confirmed Giovinazzi for Alfa next year? I think they have, haven't they? Or have they not? I think that's a better lineup than the Williams lineup. I think Bottas is better than Albon.
Yeah, but I can get more jokes out of his mum, so that's a start. I can't really do much else.
I think it's, he's been at a top team. He knows how things work. He's got some experience. He's decent, but no more than that.
For a purely personal sense, I'm glad he's got like one more year to fail.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like, just to be sure that he can't cut it in F1. He's got a second, third year, whatever it is. So
just wanted to make sure that he's not good enough for a top team.
Absolutely make sure that he's a bit shit.
Yeah, well, he should be better than Latifi.
Friends should be better than Latifi, but Latifi's doing all right this year.
Well, we'll get to him later on. Did all right this weekend. Well, for a bit of it anyway.
But could F1 be about to be sold to Saudi Arabia? Swiss newspaper Blick suggests Liberty Media has got bored of F1 and that the Saudis are waiting with bags of cash to take it off their hands. But while the writer Roger Benoit is a long-time F1 reporter, he included no sources whatsoever in his short piece, so it could be utter bollocks.
I mean,
Saudis and F1.
Could be quite an F1 thing to do, wouldn't it? If suddenly they're just owned by one of the countries with the worst human rights record in the world that is trying to sport.
Well, you also know that their CEO would be Bernie Ecclestone. You'd be sure of that.
Bring him back. Yeah.
And then he just round up everybody that said goodbye to him and like just shoot him in the back.
Yeah.
or flog them. Probably
lure them to an embassy.
Flog them on live timing. You can pick your camera. Which one's anyway? Yeah,
I don't know what to make of this story. I've only heard it from this one source. And while Roger Benoit has been in F1 for donkey's years, he doesn't say where he's got it from, and nobody else has got it. And it's just like, really? But on the other hand, you wouldn't rule it out, would you? If you heard that had happened, you'd go, yeah, that makes sense. It's Formula One.
Yes, but I also think Liberty put too much in to just set it off.
You'd think they'd be. I think it's going quite well. If you were a Liberty investor and you looked at where Formula One is now compared to where they took over, you'd be pretty happy, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think it's in a much better place. And obviously the money is not going to be great because of the pandemic, but surely
you've got a better product now, and you'd think the potential for earning is not yet at its zenith. And surely, as a shareholder, ultimately they want to make. I presume long term, Liberty want to build it up, make a load of money out of it, and then sell it for a massive profit. But I can't imagine they're at that stage yet, are they? I don't think we're at peak.
Well, I'd imagine
F1.
that I'd even say they don't have to sell it for a massive profit because that's the old model of the old people that owned it. But actually, if they can just get a cash cow that makes a lot of fucking money every year, they don't need to sell it on in the end. They could just
pay out dividends and everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Well, I guess.
Of course, this got quite serious, isn't it? This is like tax advice from FF1.
If you're a Liberty shareholder,
they should form a limited company.
Yeah. Well, at the moment they're just trading as a sole trader, so they could they could take a load of money off their tax bill if they did that. I don't know what to make of this, but we'll see.
So tell us how wrong we are. You can tweet us at For F1's Sake or find us on Facebook where we're For F1's Sake, or email us at wrong@ff1s.com. Alternatively, though, if you think we're right, well, then you're clearly in a vulnerable state of mind and open to suggestion. So why not give us your money? That is what these people did. Sam Wilson, who said, after an abysmal haul of points from my F1 Fantasy League last week, I figured you guys could drink my sorrows for me. Thanks for all the laughs.
You are welcome, Sam, and we are more than happy to.
And another thanks to Thomas Collings, who said, this is the money I saved by not paying Sky to watch the sprint race. Win-win.
Wow. Thank you, Thomas. That's a lot of money that Sky charges. So I guess we've done pretty well at that.
£10.99.
Wow. Thank you very much, Thomas. That's very generous.
Joshua Stewart, who said, congrats to Chica on the wedding and happy first anniversary to my own wife, Terry. No relation. You were kind enough to make fun of us when we got married, so have another beer on us.
That's
thanks,
a
Josh.
jump in logic there, but thank you, Joshua. You might not like Josh. Congratulations, Terry.
Oh,
you're welcome.
David Sayer, who sayers, thanks for the newsletter, which reminds me to donate. Also pronounce my name any way you like. Everyone else gets it wrong anyway.
Wow.
So hang on, everyone else gets it wrong.
Does that mean we don't get it wrong?
Right.
Yeah.
And finally, to Chris Phillips.
I like him. He's got two L's in Philip.
A comment.
Got in touch, dropped us some money, left. Brilliant.
And thank you to our monthly donors keeping us in beer all year long. This week we celebrate Chris Lee and Paul Hewings.
Lee and Hewings, the famous 90s double act comedy.
Yeah, and some amazing sauce they make together.
Seriously though, your support does make watching F1 worthwhile. So if you do enjoy what we do, tell us by going to ff1s.com/pint. I'm just a teenage dirtbag baby. Yeah, I'm just a teenage dirtbag baby. Listen to the Monza rundown, baby, with me. Ooh.
Down, 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 down.
It was a weekend of crushed dreams and penalties for Red Bull. Perez got a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits, but no one cares about that because Verstappen's run-in with Hamilton earned him a 3-place grid penalty. Would you have given him a 3-place grid penalty? And if not, what would you have given him?
It's
a very tricky question.
It is. On the one
I
hand,
think a 5-place.
Let's start with Terry.
I feel like 3-place feels a bit lenient. Because with the Red Bull, where is the next race? I can't even remember.
Russia.
I don't know.
But you said, you said earlier that it wasn't. You didn't think it was anyone's fault, in particular.
Well,
so you're saying it's no one's fault, but you should have a higher penalty.
I may have said that, but what I mean is that it was no one's fault. Predominantly, no, that's not right. It was marginally. I think it was Max's fault, but I think. And this could be a state of F1, but I haven't written it for this week, is that the penalties shouldn't be about the crime. It should be about what's most entertaining for the following race. And I think a 5-race ban. A 5-race ban, yeah.
How else
in the old days,
learn?
they used to ban drivers from races. They don't anymore, do they?
Grosjean got one.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, yeah.
No, I think a 5-place penalty would have been just slightly more interesting. I feel like 3 places is just like, whatever. Yeah, I'll be 3rd on the grid. Great. Or 4th on the grid. Whatever. Whatever. Whereas 5, he's got to work for it. 10 would have been ideal.
Okay. What about 20?
Okay.
Too much. That's just silly, Phil.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And what about you, Phil?
I'm broadly in agreement with Terry in that I thought it was basically a racing incident, as we've previously discussed. And when I heard that he got a 3-place penalty, I was like, yeah, that's probably all right. The more I thought about it, the more I think that's probably a bit harsh. I would just chalk it up to a racing incident and leave it at that and let them get on with it. That's what
How about, because they gave Hamilton a 10-second penalty at Silverstone.
I thought that was harsh as well.
What if they give Max Verstappen a 10-second starting penalty, so he's not allowed to go until 10 seconds after.
So just everybody plows in the back of him, like when they used to stall back in the day.
Yeah,
he has to sit on the grid waving his arms.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's a thought. It's quite dangerous. I'm pretty sure that's killed drivers in the past. So,
well, just put him at the back of the grid then, 'cause it's the same. So that's less harsh than a 3-place penalty. Is he has to go to the back of the grid?
Okay. So a 20-place penalty and a 10-second delay in the starting is what we've agreed on.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
I think that's only fair.
Yeah.
I think everyone would be happy with that, even all the Dutch fans.
Yeah, I don't see any issues with that.
And Perez was a bit of a prick, wasn't he? Because he was clearly going to get a penalty if he didn't give the place back, and they didn't make him give the place back. It was like they just, as soon as Max is out of the race, they're just like, oh, we'll let the work experience boy do the do Sergio's team stuff.
Yeah. Horner was on the radio going, come on, Christian. No, wait, his name's Christian. Fuck. What was he doing? Albon. What's Albon's name? Christian. Albon.
Alex.
I've had 2 whiskies. I'm really sorry. I can't remember anyone.
Maybe he's a Christian, though.
Can we talk actually briefly about the Verstappen pit stop? Because, fucking hell, to be that mechanic and everyone's going, your thing's not gone. And he's like, it is, it's fine. Go on, do it again. What? Oh, I'm not going to do it again. You can't make me.
So what exactly happened here? It was to do with the pressing of the button and the timing of the pressing of the button.
No, so I think, he'd done the kind of bit.
Yeah.
And in the...
This is so
there's a sensor.
technical.
Yeah, well, you know, I've got to
It's a shame the listeners can't see the actions that Terry is doing.
Look,
Very
our
realistic.
listeners are either stupid or drunk, so we can't read the technical terms. We've learnt that. So, you know, the bit that's on all the sound effects. You know, when a layperson talks about Formula One, they go, you know, that's the most exciting bit about Formula One, is the pit stop. So as far as I understand, there's an automatic sensor on the nut. Sorry, the whoosh. And when that gets tightened, it automatically tells the little gantry of lights that this wheel is good to go. Whereas in this case, I think the sensor failed. So even though the nut was tightened enough, the sensor didn't say, I'm tight. So he had to do it again.
And what did that sound like?
My understanding is a bit different.
I'm tight.
I don't want to contradict you.
I'm ready.
I don't want to contradict you. Okay, this is going off track. I think there's more to it than that. I think there's actually a button. I think this was human error rather than a technological failure. Because they tightened up the rules a couple of races ago, where I think we briefly mentioned it in passing that pit stops might take longer because they didn't want to send people out before they were ready. I think there's a button on the gun that you have to press once you've finished, and when you've done that, when everyone's pressed their buttons, then the traffic lights will work. And I think previously you could basically just go and mash the button at the same time and it would be fine. Whereas now, if you press the button before you finish putting the wheel on, it won't work. So I think what happened...
So he did fuck up.
I think he pressed it too early and therefore it didn't happen, and they just sit there going, somebody's not pressed their button. And he thought, I have pressed my button, what are you talking about? And I presume all of them just went, mash the button, and then he went. But it was a fuck up.
Didn't these people train for hours and hours and hours, and they do like sit-ups and go to the gym and do all this stuff, and all he had to do was press this fucking button.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he didn't just press the button again, because he put the thing back on the wheel. He didn't just press the button, he put the whole back on the wheel.
Maybe it's a combination of the two. Maybe we're both right. There's no way of knowing for sure.
We're all right.
I reckon 10-place grid penalty.
We're all right.
Mercedes! Bottas sprinted all the way at the front and then ended up at the back. We saw Hamilton's first retirement since July 2018, although he tried not to retire, despite having a car on top of him. Would you retire if you had a car on top of you?
I mean... I liked it. It was a bit Senna Prost. It was a bit kind of like, get me going, but it was almost like, oh. I mean, because for a moment there, if he'd have managed to reverse out and you saw the Red Bull just kind of drop to the floor and then he manages to get going, before you saw his halo was fucked and the whole roll hoop was...
Yeah, his rear wing was gone, yeah.
There was a moment there where you're like, oh, this is juicy. Because if you remember 1989 Senna Prost, Prost just got out of the car straight away and fucked off like that. And Senna was a bit devious and got going again. So I just think there's a bit of glorious symmetry there, but it didn't.
But then Senna got disqualified for going off track and going back on again, didn't he? Or something along those lines.
At the wrong place. Yeah,
but that
was through the bollard.
That was basically Balestra being a dick, from what I understand. So maybe that would have happened.
What you mean is you've watched the Senna film too.
Senna film 2? No, I didn't know there was another one.
Oh, it's fucking amazing.
What happens in that one?
Oh, Senna 2. It went straight to DVD, and it's all about how it's all about Bruno Senna. It's shit. It's really bad.
I would actually watch a similar style and detailed film about Bruno Senna and how he rose to Formula One and then sort of slowly dropped back out of it again.
Is he even in Formula E anymore?
I don't know what he's doing. I have no idea what Bruno Senna's doing. Bruno, if you're listening, wrong@ff1s.com. He's probably doing Brazilian touring cars or something like that.
Oh,
I'm Googling it.
Uncle Ayrton.
Ferrari. Signs of problems with his rear.
Hang on. Sorry, I need to go back to Bottas, because Bottas had the car where he could overtake everyone and win the fucking race, and he couldn't fucking do it. And how many times have we seen Bottas carve through the field only to get about third and then be like, I can't do it anymore? And he just shit.
I disagree. I thought this was Bottas' best race of the season, the race after he's been fired.
I think we're both right. I think it was his best race of the season, and it was shit, because that's how low his level is. He should have walked that race, and he didn't. So
I also thought it was funny in interviews after the sprint race, because they were like, how do you feel the fact that you've won that and you're being sent to the back? And he just didn't give a shit, did he? He was like,
I don't think he
oh,
gives
well.
a shit at all. Well,
No,
it was
exactly.
the same after the main race where he finished, and David Coulthard on the interviews basically said, "Oh, bibs, sorry." But
Take out the bibs.
Yeah.
Take out the bibs. I've written a song
down
for the
take out the
bibs.
bibs.
Bibbity bib, bibbity bibs. Take out the bibs.
I love it. If you're a musical producer, set that to a beat, send it in, and nothing will happen. At the interview that David Coulthard did after the race with Bottas, he basically said, "Oh, congratulations, Valtteri, that was a great drive," and then immediately started talking about Verstappen and Hamilton, and sort of showed him the thing on the screen behind him and said, "What do you think about that?" And Valtteri just turned around and looked at it and watched it and went, "Huh, that's unfortunate," and clearly didn't care.
It would have been better if he'd have gone full Kimi Räikkönen and just gone, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit what those two are up to.
Yeah.
Those fucking pricks.
Yeah, I'm
going to Alfa Romeo and I don't give a fucking shit.
Ferrari. Sainz had problems with his rear. Joined the club. I made a paneer curry after the race. And Leclerc lacked speed on the straights. So 4th and 5th sounds actually like they didn't do that badly. But they didn't have any of the high flyers to contend with. So actually it wasn't that impressive, was it?
Well, it's Monza,
Yeah,
so
like,
anything other than a win is not good enough for a Ferrari.
But it would have been, without the two going out, they would have been 6th and 7th, which is
Not that great.
shit.
Although Leclerc said he was that was one of the races he was most proud of. He thought he drove incredibly well.
He's wrong.
Well, maybe he did, but the car was shit, so nobody will ever know. Yeah, the car's not good enough. The end. Maybe it was brilliant. Who knows?
McLaren. Oh, sweet Jesus. We saw the highly unhygienic display of shoe drinking again. But it was worth it to see that sweet smile we haven't seen in Ricciardo since 2018. Alongside him on the podium was his teammate Norris with a career PB of 2nd. Is this what the sprint race is about? Moving the middleman around?
Oh. We haven't really talked about the sprint race. Should we talk about the sprint race? This was the second one.
Briefly, because it was really boring.
It was really boring. It sort of set things up a little bit differently, but the actual main event is just dull as ditch water. Yeah, so that kind of changed things up. So it sort of, the impact it had was moderately interesting, but it's a shame we had to sit through the actual race itself to get to that outcome.
But is that any different to Lewis Hamilton just having a bad start on Sunday? That would be the same difference, really, wouldn't it?
Maybe.
You don't need 15 laps to have a bad start.
This is the trouble. It's basically, it's just the first, what do they last now? I don't know, half an hour, 40 minutes? It's the first 40 minutes of a race with no intrigue.
The thing is, I like the abstract idea of it. Like I like the abstract idea of when they did that weird qualifying format a few years ago. Like the idea of there being some kind of big battle for the grid and everyone's going crazy for it, which isn't what happens. Because what happens is everyone goes, "Oh, don't want to hurt my car."
Yeah.
And in the qualifying thing, it was like, "Oh, well, we'll just keep going around when we have to."
Hamilton lost a couple of places and Gasly crashed, and that was it.
Yeah, no one gained, everyone lost. And that's how I feel about the sprint race.
But I just don't understand, why don't they just do it a couple of laps? Because that would be really exciting.
Or like a 2 laps. Well, nothing's going to happen then either. Even more the case, they're going to be I'll crash if I try anything. I'm not going to do it.
That's what I said on the last sprint race. I said they should have 15 one-lap sprint races. Which still is a better idea than the fucking sprint race.
I think they should start everyone with a Le Mans start, but they should be allowed to go with whatever car they get into first.
Okay.
So they line all the cars up, and then they have to sprint, and whoever's the quickest can have the Mercedes. Anyway,
nice.
McLaren. We've talked about McLaren a bit as well. Well done to them. It's not really. I was going to say it's a bit of a fluke, but it wasn't really. Maybe it was a perfect storm of the track suiting them and them all being on form that day, and well done. Because last race they were shit. So
we have to talk about the shoey.
Oh, must we?
Because did you see that Lando Norris also drank from?
Yeah, I don't think he'll be doing that again, and not just because Ricciardo won't win again.
I'm pretty sure that's paedophilia.
He'll get some sort of fungal infection from that.
How old is Norris now?
Norris is not old enough to know better, so I think that's grooming. Yeah, just drink out of this shoe, or you'll be really cool. I mean, I do feel sorry for Lando because I think he probably was quicker at some point. And actually, if he'd have overtaken, I think he was slightly quicker on the day. And it's just weird that he's got all these podiums and he gets his best ever result, which is a second, and it's completely overshadowed by old man Daniel finally working out how the steering wheel works or whatever's fucking wrong with him this year.
His brakes, wasn't it? Which is weird because Monza is a track where you do a lot of very hard braking. So either he's got the hang of it or he's just good. He can mash the brake pedal, but he can't do anything else.
Maybe.
Who knows? But, well done to them. I hope they enjoy it. I'll be very surprised if we see anything like it again.
Aston Martin. Stroll started in 7th, strolled round and finished in 7th, and Vettel just had a bad day. How do you think a team reacts in F1 after a driver has a bad day?
They have to give him a hug and put a news story out that they want to keep him for next year, even though they've been clearly trying to get Alonso in the car.
Yeah, they haven't signed Vettel's contract, have they? I think he has a contract for a multi-year contract, but they haven't sort of officially enabled next year's bit yet.
And there were definitely rumours that they were trying to get Alonso.
I hadn't heard the Alonso one. That's interesting.
Yes. Yeah, they'd had a meeting apparently, and by the sounds of it, Alpine have got a watertight contract on Alonso, so he said no. But now Vettel's like, guys,
what other
to race next year? I'll clean up. I'll make the tea. I'll clean up anything you want.
So what you're saying is they're trying to get rid of one faded former champion, and they were going to go for another faded former champion. So now they need another faded former champion who perhaps doesn't have a drive for next year. Kimi Raikkonen. Yes. Raikkonen and Button. Oh, there we go. Actually, Button would be a pretty good fit for Aston Martin. He's a sort of your dashing British playboy, isn't he? He's sort of like James Bond if he was a bit crap.
He's not a playboy.
He was. In his early days.
Just because he had his dick in a lot of models doesn't make him a playboy. Playboy, you need a bit of class and a bit of suave. It's not just about, what I just said. It's not about getting your gurney flap all dirty.
Oh, God.
Okay.
I thought Terry's explaining this to us.
Yeah.
AlphaTauri had a shit weekend as neither driver finished. What do you think Gasly's secret systems problems were? I think his car has COVID.
Could be.
Well, his nose was definitely a bit tickly.
His nose was a bit tickly. Oh yes, because it fell off and then he crashed.
It fell off.
That's very good. Well, what's the technical? What's the fan interpretation of what happened to him then?
He was a bit shit, wasn't he?
No, in sound effects, Terry. This is what we're doing now.
Oh, sorry. Oh, we're doing the sound effects of.
Well, I assume that's where we're going.
Each driver's race as a sound effect. This is a great idea. It's like.
Good.
That's pretty good. Yeah. I like it.
And now for Sonoda's, which is. That was it.
Okay.
He didn't even get to start. I didn't dig into exactly what the problems were. Gasly's was something to do with his throttle not working. And Sonoda's was that his brakes weren't working. So exactly the opposite problems. One of them couldn't go, one of them couldn't stop.
Did you hear the interview with Tsunoda beforehand? Who was like, I just keep crashing into things.
I mean, he's honest. Fair play.
Yeah.
Look, I've heard twice that Tsunoda just eats all the time. And I can't get it out of my head. And I think that's what apparently, like when there was a Belgian Grand Prix and everyone was kind of doing their kind of fitness breaks and everything, he just went for a sandwich. he's just always hungry. So I just imagine either he was just too hungry and he was just like, I'm not going until we get me a sandwich. Or maybe they put the sandwich in Gasly's car by mistake. And Gasly's like, what the fuck's this? Oh, it crashes out.
But it's got stuck under the throttle pedal. He couldn't put the throttle down. Brilliant. I think we've solved it.
Perfect.
Alpine. So when I looked at the results, it turned out that Alonso got points. But I don't think I saw him at all in the race, though. Ocon, however, got a penalty for colliding with Vettel. Cute. Who would you rather spend a leisurely Sunday morning with, Alonso or Ocon? And I'm thinking a sort of lie-in, maybe go to the coffee shop, read papers by the river.
Does this imply having had sex the night before?
No, there was definitely some sort of form of intercourse the night before.
I think Alonso.
Oh, okay. Why?
I just think he'd be grateful for a bit of attention.
So it's pity.
I think Ocon would be a bit more, because he's a bit up. Right, Alonso is obviously famously up himself, but he's fallen on hard times. Whereas Ocon, he's just won a race. I think Ocon would just be talking about winning a race, wouldn't he? He'd be like, "Did you see it? Did you see it? Oh, I've got this. I've got a picture book. Oh, let me show you the video. Look, this is the bit where I won. This is the bit where I won the race." Whereas I feel like Alonso is a bit broken, and I reckon personally I could maybe get the better of him, and maybe help him out a bit and teach him a different way of life.
My decision would come down to who would be best at childcare.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
God.
Yeah, that's my response to parenting, Terry.
And who would be best at childcare?
Can't your lovely other half look after the child if you've got a chance to have a Sunday with a Formula One driver? Come on.
That you've just shagged.
Had sex with them, yeah. I think
and a
she might
Saturday
be
night,
a bit,
yeah.
but I think she might resent then having to do childcare, if I'm honest.
What? So
okay, what if she got to have sex with the Formula One driver, but you get the Sunday? Not to put you on the spot or anything.
Who's the reserve driver at Alpine?
Were you going to shag them?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Oh no, they'll look after the kid.
Yeah.
Get the reserve to look after.
Oh,
No, hang on. Okay. Whoa, right. You get to spend the day with Alonso or Ocon, but the other one has to look after your child. Who would you trust more to look after your
I
child?
think I'd
That's a
probably
good
trust
question.
Ocon more with my child.
Yeah, definitely.
I think Alonso would just end up slagging it off to try and get his own career ahead somehow. He'd call it a GP2 child.
He just get it in a pushchair and then, all right, you crash into that wall and I'll have a chance with this lady over here. Hey. Oh no, my child's crashed into a wall. Oh no.
So I think she's okay, but yeah, what's your number? Yeah, no, I can absolutely see that happening.
Well, good. Okay, that's no, it's not what I expected, but it's good to know. Alfa Romeo.
Let's get this straight. Raikkonen's not coming back.
Raikkonen's coming back
Kubica's
next
going to be in the
race.
car the rest of the year. No, he's not.
You reckon?
Have they officially
We had
announced it?
this.
Yes.
Didn't we have this discussion? We had this discussion, and you said last week that Raikkonen wasn't coming back. He claimed he had COVID, but really it was his excuse to never ever come back.
He has said he's coming
I
back.
stand by that.
He
Right.
did an Instagram post where he was standing in a field for some reason, and it said, "I'm coming back." And
as he
that was
ran
Kubica's.
into the distance.
No, it was just standing
So it
there.
didn't say, "I'm coming back for the next Grand Prix." It just said, "I'm coming back."
I think
because that could have just been a message to his wife.
I think it said, "I've got the shopping and I'm on my way home."
Yeah, I'm on the way.
He meant
I'm
to
coming
text
back.
it, and he got it wrong.
He just went. He was putting a filter on it.
Yes. No, here it is. I've got it here. He said, "I am all good. See you at the next GP."
I am all good. I'm just at Tesco's. Do you want anything? See you at the next GP, and the next GP is what they call their bed. So I'm not convinced.
Okay. Well, maybe. I mean, Kubica once again, I thought did very well, considering.
He did very well.
Very
everything.
well.
Fine. Well done. I don't think he was last. Brilliant. Giovinazzi had a mixed weekend where sometimes he did very well, but then he came onto the track after going off it like a bell end and didn't realise that Sainz was there and spun himself around and looked like a tit and got himself a penalty as well as spinning and losing all his places. So that was them.
Williams. Russell proved that he is probably still. That's not how it works. Russell proved that he is probably still good enough to go to Mercedes, and Latifi was unlucky because of the safety car. I read that these two were better mates and have been on holiday together. Do you think that this cute bromance will last when they're in different teams?
What do you mean you read that? I said it on the last episode. You're just stealing my direct quotes and attributing to.
I don't know whether I read it.
Media.
I don't pay masses of attention.
I did read that George Russell is very good at taking the bibs out. So that's all I can say.
Look, I can't, my sources, I've got a lot of them. You are one.
Yes.
The other journalism, that.
Twitter.
Yeah. Don't reveal your sources, Chief.
Anyway, come on. Will it last?
No, I think as soon as he'll be like him and Lewis will be going to the Met Gala again, and they'll be having a great time and living it up on Lewis's island or whatever he's got. And no, Latifi will be dead to him unless he runs low on money, in which case he'll be best mates. Yeah, okay. I think this success will massively go to Russell's head.
I don't think I'm going to like George Russell next year. I'm just putting it out there now.
Why? Do you know?
Before
before
he turns horrible, you're going to say you don't like him.
Well, I've always been notoriously fickle, and I don't like it when drivers get successful. That's it, really.
Okay.
But then when they've been successful for a while, I start to warm to them again.
When they've peaked and they're on the downward trajectory.
Then on the downward trajectory, I really like them, or grow to hate them if they don't give up when I think they should.
Where are you standing on Vettel at the moment?
Like.
Okay. Raikkonen,
dislike.
Okay. Alonso?
Ooh, on the fence.
Okay. Interesting.
Depends how Saturday night goes.
Russell did pretty well. Got points again. I don't know. I just feel like the last 2 races since he did really well have just been a bit kind of like,
Yeah, but he's going to Mercedes.
Yeah. I mean, points is good. If we'd have, bearing in mind how long it was before he got points, if you'd have asked us before he had a second place, how well he'd done, we'd be like, he got points, brilliant. And now I'm just kind of like,
Yeah.
And he got out-qualified for the first time by Latifi. Okay, not in the actual single lap qualifying, but in the sprint qualifying, which is officially qualifying, Latifi won, and because he got past him at the start. So if anything, Russell's on a downward trajectory. So maybe Terry will like him again. I don't know.
I reckon Latifi should drive for Mercedes.
Wow.
Yes. If anyone didn't think Mazepin wasn't Formula One's biggest twat before Monza, they do now. On the other hand, he provided top-notch entertainment. Do you think Mazepin knows he's as bad as he is?
He must suspect. Yes. In fairness, this weekend, okay, he titched up by ploughing into Schumacher with a move that was never on and spun him round. But he did then say, that was entirely my fault and I'm very sorry. Which is big of him. Maybe we've got him wrong.
Well done him.
We haven't got him wrong, he's a dick. But he did hold his hands up, in fairness, this weekend.
But it was him holding his hands up that meant he lost control of the car.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. No, terrible. As always. And I'll be honest, Schumacher, even with among all this, Schumacher's not particularly impressing me. I don't know where he's going to go.
Is it because he's in a horrendous car, or is it because...
Well, it is. It doesn't help that he's in a horrendous car, but Russell's been in a horrendous car and he's managed to impress everyone.
Has he?
Yeah, he's got a Mercedes drive now.
Oh, yeah.
Pay attention, Terry, come on. Schumacher has had a fairly terrible teammate, and okay, he's been better than him, but he hasn't exactly blown him away, has he? So, and he's made quite a few mistakes himself, so not mad impressed with him.
If you put Schumacher in a different car,
he'd be quicker because the Haas is crap.
Yeah, no, I know, but do you think he'd be anything special?
No.
Okay.
He's sort of Perez levels of okay.
I don't even think he's
Hulkenberg.
Massa.
Nick Heidfeld.
Felipe Massa now.
Felipe Nasser now. Remember him?
Phil Collins now.
Oh dear. Topical, but really sad.
Anything else you want to say about those two?
Phil Collins?
Nope.
No.
No, I want to leave it on Phil Collins.
Yeah, that was the genesis of our ideas.
Oh, good. All of which brings us...
Dairy milk, Phil.
Dun, 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 dun.
But seriously.
Yeah.
All of which brings us to the standings with Terry Saunders.
In first place, can I go on top? It's Max Verstappen. In second place, I'm clearly at bottom. It's Lewis Hamilton. I'm left out in the cold. It's Valtteri Bottas. I'm happy. I really am. It's Lando Norris in fourth. I'm lost, says Sergio Perez in fifth. I nearly beat a McLaren, but I didn't. It's Charles Leclerc in sixth. I like being behind Charles, says Carlos Sainz. I'm remembering last year, says Pierre Gasly. I'm drinking from a shoe again, says Daniel Ricciardo. I'm not even sure I did this race, says Alonso. And in 11th place, I'm French. It's Esteban Ocon. In 12th place, I did no activism this week and I was invisible as a result. It's Sebastian Vettel. I'm hungry. I wanted to snack instead of doing the race. It's Sonoda. I've got more money than you. It's Lance Stroll. I'm coming for you, Lewis. It's George Russell. I miss George already. It's Nicholas Latifi. I'm coughing. Honest. It's Kimi Räikkönen 17th. And I'm done, aren't I? It's Antonio Giovinazzi. And because the Red Bull on top of the Mercedes made lots of memes about sexual preferences and things that we're obviously too big and too sophisticated to stoop to that level, I thought, if the teams made or used a sex toy, which sex toy would they make or use? So Mercedes would make one that's made out of carbon fibre. It'd be horribly expensive, but probably never get used. Red Bull would have one that's really complicated, but not work until about halfway through the night. There'd be a giant orange dildo from McLaren, which they'd use to fuck Lando with. In fourth, it's a life-size prancing horse with a hole for both Charles and Carlos. In fifth, there's an electric egg for Ocon, but Alonso will have the controls. That's Alpine. Sixth will be AlphaTauri branded harnesses. In seventh place, Lance Stroll will dress as Christian Grey, and Vettel will have to clear up the mess. In eighth place, they're dusting off an old plug-in vibrator gifted from your dad, and he's watching. It's Williams. And in ninth place, it's a dildo made of ice. It's Alfa Romeo.
Oh, you can get all of those items at shop.
And now for the man of the match of driving. Daniel Ricciardo.
Daniel Ricciardo. Really?
Oh, God. And now it's time for the State of F1 with Terry Saunders.
I have two requests after a big crash. Either check the other driver is okay, or have a fight. Max, unacceptably, did neither. He had a little look, then he stepped onto the track, which I think is an offence, but I also don't care, because if I voice that, I'll have a swarm of his fans swarming around me like orange fucking fruit flies to say that Lewis put him in hospital. Why won't someone ask if Max is okay? I was disappointed that Max didn't lean in to have a go at Lewis, and I was equally annoyed when Lewis didn't crawl out of his car to give Max a piece of his bruised mind. There was a small moment of hope, but it looked as if Lewis was trying to reverse his car out just to run Max over. But alas, the car was too fucked, and he was told to turn off the engine by Bono, the patron saint of spoil sports. But don't worry, I have a solution. Obviously, I'm glad everyone is okay, and I'm also glad that Lewis didn't put Max in hospital again. But I'm also kind of annoyed that there isn't more of a Panto setup. Years ago, F1 made it so that drivers had to go to that weird post office queue area to be interviewed after the race and couldn't just flounce off. Well, I think they should take it further for rivalries like this, with a full UFC-style MMA cage that Lewis and Max get locked into, or Bottas and Russell before the announcement last week. Make it awkward. Even better, go full Mad Max Thunderdome and get Tina Turner to bark inane questions instead of David Coulthard. And all the other drivers and failed Red Bull drivers get to hang on the outsides of the cage, hissing and spitting. And actually, I haven't seen Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Or is it even Thunderdrome? I don't even know. For so many years, I don't even know what happens. It's probably just Mel Gibson saying something anti-Semitic.
And that is it from us. It's goodbye from Phil Tromans.
Goodbye. We haven't had time to talk about Lewis Hamilton at the Met Gala, where he brought along a load of black fashion designers to pick up their careers, which is great. But he also seemed to wear a petticoat on one leg, which was a bit weird.
I thought it looked lovely.
I saw a Twitter thing that said, "Are his legs getting married?" Which is pretty accurate.
That was funny.
And it's goodbye to Terry Saunders.
We haven't had time really to talk about it, so we probably should have talked about it, was that Lewis Hamilton got a bump on the head from Verstappen's car, and the halo probably saved his life. Well done, Halo. Well done.
We'll be back in 2 weeks to discuss the Valtteri Bottas testimonial Grand Prix of Russia. But in the meantime, check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/for F1's sake, and follow us on Twitter @for F1's sake. And you can buy merch. Terry, where is it?
Well, exciting news about merch. You can now buy it at the same place you've always been. There's no news. There's nothing. I've done nothing. If anything, now our Podium by Barcelona t-shirt is now as dated as our Stop the Ruffle.
Thanks for listening. See you in 2 weeks. I've been Ms. Chica Ayres. Goodbye.
Goodbye.